This week on Talking Pictures with Neil Rosen, we'll look at Blonde, a new biopic about screen icon Marilyn Monroe. A new mystery thriller, Luckiest Girl Alive, starring Mila Kunis. Catherine Called Birdie, a new medieval romantic coming-of-age comedy from writer-director Lena Dunham. Plus Bros, another new comedy from producer Judd Apatow and Billy Eichner. We've got all that and many more movie picks coming up. I'm Neil Rosen. Welcome to Talking Pictures. It's our monthly Critic Roundtable show where we debate what's worth watching and what's not when it comes to new releases, hidden gems, and Hollywood classics. Joining me are Bill McCuddy from the Accutron Show. How you doing there, Bill?
Hey, Neil. This week's themed socks are small dogs to represent most of the movies we're doing.
No,
All right.
We'll see about that. Lisa Rossman's here from Signs and Sirens. Hey there, Lisa.
Hey, doll.
And returning to the show after a long absence, my buddy, noted author, screenwriter, and critic, Logan Hill. How you doing, Logan?
Great. It's good to see you guys again.
Good to see you. Let's start out with a look at several new films and limited series in theaters and or streaming, beginning with the new biopic Blonde, and let's take a look at a clip.
I wanna be loved by you, just you, nobody else but you. I wanna be loved by you alone.
Why? You think I'm too dumb to comprehend the joke's on me?
What joke?
Jello on springs!
Marilyn. No, Marilyn. Oh, fuck, no.
Get out!
For God's sake, Marilyn.
Okay. I know, Marilyn.
I know, Mary.
Sweetie,
I know, Miss
come on,
Monroe.
sweetie. I'll take you in the back here. We got a little something for you.
I'll be there in a second.
Just settle down.
I'll be there in a minute.
We'll be there.
Billy, she's not a well girl.
Bill, tell us about Blonde.
Well, by now you've heard about this, the Marilyn Monroe thing that Andrew Dominik did. He's a gifted writer and director. I liked The Assassination of Jesse James he did a few years ago, and I was very, very excited about this film. Ana de Armas is an amazing actress. She's done some things. This should be her best thing, and she's pretty good as Marilyn Monroe. The problem is, never has there been such a bad movie with so many good ideas. The director knows how to mix up the medium. Some things are in black and white, some things are in color, some things are widescreen, and some things aren't.
Yeah, why?
Well, I found that interesting. It's a toolbox. He uses it well. The problem is most of what she goes through, Marilyn's life on the screen, is just one downer after another. There's no bright moment in anything that happens for her in this thing. And for me, that was not a good ride. So I can't recommend Blonde.
Go ahead, Lisa.
I loathe this malevolently sexist, sad sack excuse for a biopic. The last thing that Hollywood needs is another have your cake and eat it too indictment of female objectification in Hollywood. This one is an inexcusably long 90s perfume commercial that confuses visual innovation for actual innovation and insight, and it perpetuates basically every existing sexist cinematic trope. What's worse is that it perpetuates every wrong-headed stereotype of Marilyn Monroe. They present her as this unstable, big, blank blonde, when really she was a self-possessed, politically active, committed, very sly performer who, yes, wrestled with more than her fair share of demons, but has emerged in her writings as savvy, witty, self-aware. Also, the whole gender essentialist malarkey that's projected on her, of her basically having her descent come from her failure to become a mother, offended me on so many levels. Okay, Hollywood may never, ever stop manufacturing this kind of misogynistic malfeasance as long as insecure, white, straight, cis men are running everything, but this woman is gonna hope that it does.
Logan?
I loathe this film, and I agree with everything you're saying. I would just agree that the film's also horrible to everyone else in the movie.
Yeah, but it's also so sexist, it scares me.
Yeah, and there's just a lack of empathy in a sense that anyone in the world is decent, and I agree that it plays like a perfume commercial as it's trying to critique a kind of superficiality and embodies it. It's just horrible, horrible film.
Oh.
Now we know why Joe DiMaggio was leaving roses every year on her grave. Apparently he hit her. I think it's almost I think it's almost libelous, the thing about JFK in bed with her, and that he may have hit her also. Listen, this is, Neil, not even worth talking about. We should move on.
I have a lot to say.
Blonde came out
Neil,
of the
don't try to talk. We're
Blonde
not gonna
came
let
out of the
you.
bottle badly, and it should go back in it.
Okay, first of all, a lot of this for no reason whatsoever is fictionalized. There's a whole throuple thing that never happened. You said you were interested in the fact that it's widescreen, then different ratio, color than black and white. It's to no purpose whatsoever. I don't like the director of this film, Andrew Dominic, who did a movie that I also don't
Which
like
already talked
called
about,
The
John.
Assassination.
We already talked about that,
Yeah, this is worse. It's too long, and it's just a festival of sadness. I mean, it's just there's no
Sexist sadness.
And the only positive thing I could say is Ana de Armas does a good job. But I'm interested in Marilyn Monroe, but this film is about as uninteresting as you can get. And there's gratuitous nude scenes, that go nowhere. I couldn't tell you what the purpose of this thing is. Just skip it. It's terrible. All right, moving on. Let's talk about a new streaming comedy series called Reboot. Lisa.
If there is anything that Hollywood adores more than remakes, it may be shows about itself. And this new Hulu series actually checks off both boxes. But it does so with a cleverness and a humanity that I find impossible to resist, basically. Part of that is the stellar cast. We have Judy Greer, Keegan-Michael Key, Johnny Knoxville as the sitcom stars, and Rachel Bloom, whom I have loved since she very first started doing webisodes, stars as the showrunner lesbian, who's trying to wrest control of the sitcom from the original showrunner, which is her deadbeat dad, played by the great Paul Reiser, who hasn't been working for a while.
Well, he doesn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. But he does here, and he's so terrific. The whole show, the jokes just keep on coming, especially in a writer's room that's full of like these old school like Hollywood offenders and millennial crackerjacks. But none of it ever comes at the expense of the people in all the characters are three-dimensional. It never gets gratuitous with these supercharged topics like cancel culture, queer rights, aging. Is this show going to change anyone's life? I don't think so, but it's definitely one of those feel-good, binge-worthy shows that you can watch without feeling gross about yourself.
It's funny. You see so many meta comedies that are just meta and not
Exactly.
funny. That
It's
forget
so
their
funny.
This movie, I mean, it's a joke machine. It's so well made, and it's part of it because you have the same kind of dynamic in the actual writers' room of the show that you have on screen. A bunch of older writers with tons of experience, like Steve Levitan, and then you've got John Enbaum, who created Party Down, which I love, and then all these younger writers who worked on shows like Schitt's Creek and Pen 15. Couldn't recommend this show highly enough.
Steve Levitan, who created Modern Family, he must feel like a certain freedom to be able, like, there's constraints on primetime television, and here he's on a streaming service, so he could get a little more racy. And this show reminds me a bit of Episodes, which was brilliant.
Well, it's no Episodes.
I actually like it better. I like it better.
It's not Larry Sanders. It's not, and
But it's
Levitan
good.
had
It's
something to
good.
do with Larry Sanders. It's very, very good, and they're the stellar cast. I mean, Keegan-Michael Key, everybody that Judy Greer is amazing.
Judy Greer's
She's so good.
Even the
so
kid
good.
who plays the grown-up
Kid
actor.
then grown up, and the show that they show within the show that was the original sitcom.
Oh, that's great.
Is hilarious.
Hilarious.
But I will say, give it a couple of episodes, because I felt like you said it has a lot of good old jokes. It's old jokes and new jokes, and that does work. But it takes a little while to get up on its feet. It explains a lot in the first pilot, and then about the third or fourth episode, it really hits its stride.
I was sucked in by second episode.
I love the old sitcom writers versus the new woke writers that are hired, and there's one lady in there who's really salty.
Yeah.
The actress's name is Rose Abdu.
She played Gypsy on Gilmore Girls, just for people who love that show.
And she just keeps coming up with this, like, totally
Blue one-liners that are bang,
that's
bang,
very
bang.
inappropriate and she's very funny.
very
Look, this is highly recommended. It's a winner. Let's move on. Tell us about The Luckiest Girl Alive, and it's not about Kim Kardashian.
That's right. The Luckiest Girl Alive is based on a bestseller by Jessica Knoll. It's a thriller in the vein of thrillers like Gone Girl, Girl on the Train. It stars Mila Kunis as a woman who's reinvented herself after a teenage tragedy as a glamorous magazine editor until the traumatic events of high school come back to haunt her. It stars Connie Britton as her horrible mother, Finn Wittrock as her horrible fiance, and there are many more horrible things to come in this film. So many that I think it's honestly too much for one movie. And to me, I just got exhausted with this. I felt like it was a too glossy take on too much tragedy.
I feel like Netflix turns out a flashback movie about female trauma every week, and with like her doe eyes and raspy voice, Mila Kunis has become the genre's poster girl, which is such a bummer given how talented a comedic performer she can be. I mean, also, I know the story is based on a true story, but it's such a hodgepodge of hot-button issues. We've got rape, we've got school shootings, we've got white privilege, we've got mother-daughter tensions. It feels like it was made on a conveyor belt. In my opinion, which is, of course, the only one I can express, it is not worth the bored misery you feel while watching it.
Yeah, I will agree and say this, if you're going to compare it to Gone Girl, deserves to be gone completely.
Gone Girl,
And
gone.
I have to say that of its many sins, the one that I enjoyed the most was Jennifer Beals as the boss.
it for like 5
the
minutes.
female version of Maxim magazine, apparently, is going to take Mila Kunis to the New York Times, where they're going to run the magazine, the coveted magazine on Sundays. Yeah, that could happen. Based on a true story, that part can't be. I would say avoid this altogether.
So bad.
Look, the themes of this movie are very timely: school shootings, sexual assault.
As I said.
But yeah, as you said. But, you know, I blame the director here. A better director might have been able to take this book and do something better. There's really 2 movies going on here. There's the present day movie with Mila Kunis, with the tone of that is, you know, she's snarky with her narration. And then it's jarring. You go to these flashbacks when these horrible things happen, and it just doesn't really sync up. And you watch these horrible scenes that happen when she was in high school, and then all of a sudden you go back to this snarky narration and stuff. And there's takes on, like, you know, shots at the very wealthy, and, you know, in the present day, the whole thing just doesn't gel up as a movie for me. So, and I also really like Mila Kunis. I did not like her in this particular role. Catherine Called Birdie is writer-director Lena Dunham's latest film. It's a romantic comedy set in medieval times. Let's take a look at a clip.
Something is astir.
No.
I can feel my father's eyes following me wherever I go.
And you have all your own teeth?
All but one.
Well, you're certainly a good eater. What colour's your hair when it's clean?
When it's clean. Blue, I think.
Very good. Well, nice to see you.
You?
You can go and see your little goat friend now.
What is brewing here?
14. That's not young.
Logan, tell us about Catherine Called Birdie.
Well, Lena Dunham, the creator of Girls and various Twitter controversies, is back with a very modern film set in 1290. It's based on Karen Cushman's 1994 novel. And I think the strength of this film is really in the cast. I loved Bella Ramsey as the lead, playing this mischievous prankster teen who wants to do anything but get married off to some old dude to save her dad, who's played by Andrew Scott, as fans of Fleabag will remember as the hot priest. In the ensemble, we have some other great roles in small parts, people you'll recognize from Game of Thrones, not to mention Joe Alwyn, otherwise known as Taylor Swift's boyfriend. This film is a lot of fun, but it felt very familiar to me. I feel like we're seeing a lot of these modern updates of older stories. There's a lot of fun to be had in that, but I think some of the tension of a girl with modern attitudes in an environment like this, we've seen in shows like Dickinson and in other places.
Yeah. You know what, though? This is one of my favorite movies of the year.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't expect to say that. I'm with you. Like, in general, the anachronistic girl power fable, not my favorite. The navel-gazing Lena Dunham, actively not my favorite. But all those flourishes that could have been annoying, like the fancily lettered captions and Birdie's flair for inventing really weird curses, and the British actors doing—
The curses are great.
They are so good. And the British actors doing period yet again. Like, it all works here, I think, because there's such an incredible attention to detail, and it runs so deep. I mean, I love the idea that this is a corner of medieval history that never makes it to the history books, which is basically queers and teenage girls, especially the ones who don't want to get married.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't think that it's necessarily one of the best movies of the year, but I really like it. And I will say it's very engaging right from the get-go. The way they have transposed the language and made it correct to the period, they kind of slide out of that as it moves into modern music and some other things that happen.
With so much wit.
But it's very, very funny. It doesn't feel like a Lena. In fact, halfway through it, I was like, oh yeah, this is the Lena Dunham thing.
I told you that it was you didn't even know it was a Lena Dunham film.
Okay.
So,
while you were watching.
There you go.
I have an IFB at home, and Neil speaks to me all the time. It's very, very annoying.
But good for her that she's spreading her wings and behind the camera and doing, taking on a different time period and making a very different kind of film than you would think from Lena Dunham. Look, make no mistake, the primary objective here is to entertain, and it's funny.
It's so good.
But she is actually, being Lena Dunham, she's made a retro feminist film about female repression. In what is it? I don't know.
1290.
Yeah, right. Many hundreds of years ago.
And she has a great eye for talent. Like, if you think about girls and the actors like Adam Driver.
She broke out so
broke
many
and found.
actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey is another discovery.
Neil, it's 1290, but it's fresh. It feels like 1300.
Look, You watch the
thought it was funny.
watch the film and you can't help but thinking of what's happening today with women. You know, you see the oppression there, and you know.
Basically, we're regressing to 1290. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Switching gears, Lisa, let's talk about Triangle of Sadness.
You know, I do think this is a surprisingly great year for movies, and this is another one of my favorites. It's directed by Ruben Östlund, who directed that 2014 moral dilemma / avalanche thriller, Force Majeure. What a weird combo. Ostensibly, this one is about a very misbegotten luxury cruise for one percenters, but really it's this surrealist, socialist commentary that's like the weirdest ever love child of Gilligan's Island and the discreet charm of the bourgeoisie. It co-stars Woody Harrelson as a boozy, commie sea captain. Harris Dickinson is this flailing male model, and the unfortunately very recently deceased Charlie Dean plays his more successful model girlfriend, which is such a shame because she's very good here. This movie is definitely not for everyone. For one thing, there is a lot of fecal matter, a lot of vomit, but I loved its send-up of human greed, global capitalism, and influence, I use the term loosely, culture. And I think it pretty much brilliantly toes that line between just being devastating and super, super smart.
This is much closer to this same director's movie a few years ago called The Square, which was kind of a send-up of rich people and the art scene, and Klaus Bang was in that. This is a triangle of badness for me, I'm sorry to say. I felt the projectile pooing, the constant vomiting, and I'm saying
endless.
I'm saying this as a warning kind of to people. I get what it's trying to do, I get what it's trying to say, but it is so literally on the nose like this that I'm just telling people I think this idea is better done in other movies, that's all.
Well, if you're sensitive to things that you might find in a toilet, this movie is definitely not for you. You know, this movie is crude, it's rude, it's disgusting, and I think what Östlund would say is, so is capitalism. And that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah. This film is blunt, it's a blunt object. It's not nearly as subtle or as witty as Force Majeure, which I love. I love Force Majeure.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, I felt, in the end, I enjoyed, I'm glad I saw this movie. It articulates that kind of rage you have about, like, the rich and the way things are stacked these days. And it appealed to me. Would I recommend it to my parents? No way.
I get the point of showing the excesses of the rich and how the power shifts in this particular thing. And the movie is separated into 3 different parts. I like the first part the best about these influencers. The second part had shades of like The White Lotus, and the third part was like a hybrid of like Lost meets several Lena Wertmüller films. But you know, it's just too long. At 2 hours and 46 minutes, this thing needs to be trimmed, and he belabors these points over and over again, like the scenes that you're talking about with the fecal matter and the vomiting. I mean, I got the point after 2-3 minutes, but it's just going on and on and on. So, you know, does it have its moments? Yes, but I think overall it goes off the rails.
It needs an Imodium. It just needs to be shorter.
Bill, tell us about a film called Carmen.
Well, the terrific Natasha McElhone is a 40-year-old woman in a small village in Malta, and when her brother, the local priest, dies and the church abandons her, Carmen takes matters into her own hands. She hears confessions, rakes a little off the top from the congressional plate, and dispenses good advice. Then she goes on the lam, gets kind of a makeover, a red dress, and falls for a younger man. It's all wafer thin and rides solely on the success of a terrific turn by McElhone, who you will know from Solaris, more importantly, or more probably significantly, The Truman Show, or the television show Californication. I think it's the best single thing she's done, and I'm recommending it for that reason.
You know, there's actually 2 films right now called Carmen, and I think this is the one that's going to get less press.
You watched this one. Right?
No, this one will get less press, but I actually think it deserves more. The visuals here are stunning because of the location, but unlike a lot of films that are set in gorgeous locales, I don't feel like it doesn't feel like an excuse for the actors to have a great vacation. It feels more like an opportunity to kind of gently highlight middle-aged female liberation, which I'm never going to have an issue with. It may not be a groundbreaker, but it's definitely an elegant fable worth your time.
Logan?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing not to like about this film particularly. Some nice performances, it looks great, but I wanted more out of it. And so I guess there wasn't anything really that much for me to love about this film either. I kept hoping that I would really get a little bit closer to her character, really understand where she comes from. In the film, she's someone who doesn't have a single friend, doesn't have a single confidant, doesn't really seems to have been so isolated that you have no real sense of who she was before the events of the film. And I just craved a little more detail, craved a little more texture to her life. But I will say, it's a lovely film. It's just, for me, it was a bit slight.
As you said, Bill, I also love Natasha McElhone from the Truman Show and Californication, and I think that she's never had a prominent role like this before, where you actually see her just in her face, the expressiveness of her transformation.
I was watching it thinking it would be a star turn for a nobody, but this is like a star turn for somebody we do know.
I didn't know much about Malta, but it's just beautiful. I want to go there. Even though it's set in the 80s, it's like a timeless place. It could have been set decades before that.
You like these big, like, bro-y, like, meathead idiots. Oh, is that what you like, Aaron? Yeah, you want to play with the big boys, huh? Oh, look, Aaron, they're fighting. You want to be in the fight? Yeah, you like that?
Hey.
Yeah, I can be tough.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can be tough like your boys. Yeah. Oh, that's what you like, huh? Oh, now you're on my blanket, bro. Yeah, get on my blanket, bro. Oh, now you want on my big blanket? Now you want to be on my big blanket? I gotta be aggressive. Oh, there you are. There you are. I can be. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's going on?
I'm over your blanket.
That was a clip from the movie Bros. It happens to be Lisa Rossman's personal choice as we go around the panel as we always do with our Critics' Picks of the Month. Lisa.
Okay, this first major studio queer rom-com is actually sinking at the box office, but it doesn't mean it's not worth checking out. It's actually one of my favorite it is my favorite rom-com of the year. And it's flat out nothing to do with the queerness, said as from a queer woman. But because it delivers more laughs per minute than anything else I've seen in a while. And it's not any surprise that it does, given its credentials. It's produced by Judd Apatow, it's helmed and co-written by Neighbors director Nicholas Stoller, and co-written by Billy Eichner, the hilarious Billy Eichner, who stars as a commitment-phobic gay podcaster and museum director who falls for an equally commitment-phobic hunky lawyer, who's played by the also out Luke McFarlane. There's very high-level hijinks here, but there's also some really interesting observations about a generation of gays that are having a hard time letting go of the emotional walls that we all built when it was harder to be queer than it is now.
I think the film's funny.
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
said.
It's like you can get caught up in all this Twitter debate over how much money it should have made. Should have Billy Eichner have said this or that on Twitter? I don't care. It's a great comedy. Like, the reasons not to like this movie are far outnumbered by the reasons to laugh your ass off watching it. It's a very, very funny comedy.
Yeah, I mean, aside from the fact that it's a major step forward, I agree with you. There's lots of laughs in this. There's lots of laughs in this movie. It's well done. And as Lisa said, I like Nicholas Stoller. I like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, and then when you have, and Billy Eichner, as you said, funny guy. Judd Apatow's fingerprints are all over this thing as a producer. Yeah, I'm with you, Logan. I'm not into the controversy.
So you disagree with me, who has the same opinion, but you agree with Logan.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to How Misogyny Works.
How long have you been doing this show? Okay. Hey, Bill, what's your pick this month?
Mine is Emily the Criminal, and all hail Aubrey Plaza, who always kills it when she hosts at the Independent Spirit Awards, and did The Great Ingrid Goes West, and then the weird, but she was good in it, The Bear. This is a dark, bare-bones drama about credit card fraud and college debt. Aubrey meets a young man played perfectly by Theo Rossi, who shows her how to make quick money. She likes it, gets good at it, and then stays with it after turning down an internship as an artist for an arrogant Gina Gershon. That's a great scene, by the way. The grifting gets tougher as the stakes get higher, and just when it looks like it might end one way, it has one of those cool 70s endings that they just don't make anymore. I like Emily the Criminal enough to put it on my top 10 list so far because Emily steals the show.
Oh.
I honestly think it's only worth watching for Aubrey Plaza.
I'll take that.
And she's doing this Jersey accent in this movie that she's not pulling off, which I found a little distracting. I have to say, though, I now know how to do credit card fraud, and for this, I'm very grateful to the film.
Logan?
I'm going to watch my wallet, but I thought this film was fantastic. I think I've been a fan of hers from Parks and Rec through Ingrid Goes West. This one somehow feels more and similar to Ingrid Goes West, and it's kind of got that like intense wildness to it. And there's an odd itchiness to her comedy, which I really like. She could go more mainstream, but she's just chosen not to. She's choosing to mine this more interesting territory. I was a big fan.
Yeah, I liked it too. I like Aubrey Plaza all the way back to Parks and Recreation, and she usually has this deadpan, kind of attitude-y kind of thing. And props to her for, taking on a different character and pulling it off. Logan, tell me what you got.
Well, it's October, so I picked some horror for you, and I picked Chucky, Season 2 on USA Sci-Fi and Peacock. I am a big
Keeping it
fan
highbrow.
of the Chucky franchise. Yeah, I mean, like, I like my horror. I don't like my horror tasteful. I don't like it period appropriate. I like it trashy and absurd and funny and a little sleazy. But what's surprising about this TV show is it gives you all of that and a great teen show. It's also kind of a beautiful coming out story about this young teen boy who finds Chucky and ends up getting a little revenge. But the show is witty, it's sharp, and even if you're a fan of like the teen shows like Never Have I Ever, this film isn't that different from that. The world of teenagers that it portrays is really fantastic, and the gore and gruesome scares are fantastic.
Yeah, I think we all watched American Graffiti and thought if it just had a murderous doll in it, it would be a lot better.
It's a doll of a movie. All right. Well, my pick is the new historical docudrama called Titans, The Rise of Hollywood. It's a 6-part miniseries that looks at how a group of penniless immigrants built the first film studios in Hollywood, making millions and elevating movies from a cheap novelty business into an empire and an art form. It's a low-budget series without high-profile actors who play all the studio heads like Louis B. Mayer and the Warner Brothers. And although some of this is not so accurate, enough of it is to get an entertaining and interesting history lesson on the birth of the movie industry. Now, the episodes look at such things as how the movie business started in New York and got ran out of town by Thomas Edison's trust to Hollywood, how silent pictures were once king and the birth of the star system, and how talkies changed everything. Despite its budgetary constraints and the editorial license that it takes, if this subject matter intrigues you, there's enough here to make it worth a look. Well, that's about all the time we have. I want to thank my panel, Bill McCuddy, Lisa Rossman, and Logan Hill. Join us next time on Talking Pictures.